before the meeting in the preview already. Luke and Bruce, I'm super impressed by this show. It's for me the first time in the micromobility event. I know it has been in Berlin, but I missed that. I'm also from Berlin, and just this interactive style, and it's more like a reality show than a industry event. So great. I miss my personal storyteller who does this. So I'm more old-fashioned. So I will show some slides. But this should be interactive as well. So if you have any questions, please let me know through the chat, and I will go directly in with it. But of course, I want to give you some background about Cellular and how we approach Cellular so that it becomes easy to operate, as Luke mentioned, out a large fleet of devices. Yeah. So for that, let me put up my slides and start the screen sharing. Just give me a second here. There we go. So as Luke pointed out, Cellular is probably in every shared mobility solution that's out there, scooters, bikes, cars, and it's an integral part. It's not the topic of the Congress or the event throughout, but I think it's one piece that has some importance, yeah, in the sense that this is without it, actually, there would be no data, the business would not run. And just one slide about us, about Emnify, in a sense, who we are, that you just get a background, who's talking and what company I belong to. We are not anymore maybe a startup, more like a scale-up. Founded in 2014 in Germany, Würzburg and Berlin, and went commercial go live in 2016, and have now more than 1,500 customers in more than 70 countries, so a global footprint. And this is actually based on the service that we provide. Yeah? And just last year, we finished our CSA funding with 20 million. And have now 100 people staff. And so these three founders, these three nice guys there, they're running the business, Martin, Frank, and Alex. And when they founded Emnify, they were looking at the market and saw that IoT has a huge uplift, and that also the cloud infrastructure is important, right? And they are technology experts, telecommunication experts with long experience, and they were looking at the market, and they were actually, if you look at Cellular like it is done today through operator business, then it's not really scalable. Yeah, so they were thinking about building the right platform so that actually Cellular becomes more integrated and allows solution providers, micromobility providers to better scale their operation. I'm just realizing, because I'm sharing the slides, I will not see this chat, but please go ahead, ask questions, and I come back to that at the end of the session. So the idea is, let's say, as simple as also genius, yeah. On the bottom of the layer, Emnify provides cellular connectivity, so like with a SIM card, yeah, and supporting all the major standards. But what we are focusing on is actually the communication platform, which is dedicated for the Internet of Things. And there, with this platform, we actually enable that IoT solution providers can better operate, automate, secure, and integrate the operations of their fleet. And how does it look like? Yeah, so if you see communication platform, what does this mean? So I brought some features with me to show you really hands-on, or not hands-on, but let's say in simple terms, what this means actually for for the micromobility industry. So one thing that we do is pretty basic, you may say. If you have something that you're working with, if you have a contract with someone, you want to see how good this thing is and if there are any issues that are happening, right? So, but Cellular is not meant for that. Yeah? If you have just a normal smartphone, you get the bill at the end of the month, and this is all you get. Yeah? But when Emnify was founded, it became very clear that IoT providers actually need some operation portal where they can really see what's happening with the connectivity, so you can react actually on anything that goes wrong on the connectivity. So with a regular phone, you know this probably by yourself, things are happening where you don't have coverage. That is one thing, but also experiences where you're connected to a network but you're not able to send data, due, for example, to uplink interference or technical things like this. And they only happen very seldom if you have just one smartphone. But if you have a fleet of thousands of devices, this is what's going to happen. And it can end up that one of your vehicles are not connected, cannot send you the last position data, and you may not be able to pick this up. So having your operations team the visibility about the connectivity and also the possibility to troubleshoot and actually get the connectivity back. This is all what the portal is about. So you can actually not only like reset the device, but also reset the network so that the device can refresh and attach again. The next thing is really, I mean, this has been a lot in the talks with COVID and the impact on micromobility. And I mean, we have this seen with our customers as well. Really, the device growth has stalled, and a lot of vehicles were taken back in store. Yeah, and actually, if you go with traditional operators, then you end up and you still pay for the connectivity because you have a fixed contract, right? So by the time you buy the SIM card, then it starts. With the communication platform, we wanted to give our customers the possibility to really tailor their SIM contract duration to their use case. So whenever the scooter is put in operation, customers can activate the SIM card and with that the SIM contract over our REST API, so they can automate this process, and then only the contract starts. And if you have things like COVID or a seasonal impact where you may not have the full fleet out, then you could use the API and just deactivate the SIM card, and with that also all your payments for the connectivity stops. Yeah. And this is really what we think, where you align your business process with the connectivity. This is of course also available in the portal, but really the power is that you automate it so that you can better operate and scale your fleet. Second use case for the automation, if you have a device and it needs to connect for the first time, then it needs to get some configuration data, which is not possible to be sent over data connection because it cannot establish a data connection first. It's like the APN configuration. And usually what's used is SMS commands, dependent on the device vendor. And you can do this with custom-made solutions, but here with the SIM cards, you actually can directly send the configuration over an API and integrate that in your activation process so that it is not an additional hurdle for your manufacturing team to set the configuration. And even for operation, if you need to send, for example, reset commands to the device because it's not working, and it does not establish a data connection, then you can also do this, of course, through the SMS API. And with that, it really becomes scalable. And other customers, we have also seen that they are not only using data to send specific telemetry data, but also SMS data. And of course, if you send anything with our platform or through our platform, then you can also retrieve the device SMS and with that analyze the data which has not come in over the data connection. So one critical part, of course, and I had longer talks with some of the scooter companies in Berlin here, is security, right? So cellular is already, compared to other communication technologies, quite secure, but you're putting your devices out in the public, and this means they can be tampered with. Someone can use the SIM cards and do free writing. Actually, there's some nice forum posts around that where people suggest, get the SIM cards and use free international data. And this is exactly where a holistic approach needs to be taken, and cellular connectivity can have a central part in this. And this is also our approach. So actually what we do is like these four main functionalities. So one is what we call Cloud Connect, which actually is, let's say, establishing a virtual private network between the device, the vehicle, and your cloud infrastructure. So our communication cloud is actually on AWS, which makes the integration to any of the distributed infrastructure more easy. So of course, AWS, we have even some more integrations than Google and Azure, but I don't want to go in details here. And just by this private network, actually just communicating just like in your private network at home, there's no one coming from the outside. Your infrastructure does only see private traffic. And next thing is private DNS, which comes with it. So you actually don't need to rely on any public DNS services, which are obviously targets for attacks and also just user errors. But you can actually use your private DNS that you have in your cloud infrastructure, your services there. Another very powerful functionality is the network firewall, and this is also what gave, let's say, this slide the name, in the sense that the network firewall actually limits all traffic, all data that can come to the device or from the device on the network side. So you don't have to think about a firewall on the device, or a firewall on the cloud side would not help. But actually, we make sure with our network firewall as a service that you do not need to worry about attacks to the device or misuse of the device for any other communication than to your application. And last but not least, a very common use case, especially in the micromobility sector, is the email lock, which just prevents that the SIM card can be used in any other device. And with that, you can be sure that no one is misusing and creating a lot of volume on your devices. Now it becomes a little bit more holistic, in a sense that all the data that we have on the connectivity side, and this is really before the device is even actually able to send data. So this is nothing that you would see on your application side. It just in the mobile network that this is visible. So on the device, you have your data application, you are able to measure infrastructure monitoring, but the connectivity side is always something that you not have in your dashboards that your operational teams are currently missing. And usually all the data is integrated, in all your processes, where you respond to customer complaints, where you have your incident management process in case the solution does not work, or what always happens, if you have user errors, you want to be able to have complete visibility of your solution, and because connectivity is one part of it, you want to make sure it's integrated in your dashboards. And this is actually what we do. So all the connectivity data we provide as a real-time data stream to all the major cloud provider and to several service and operation web services or SaaS offerings. And I come to that in the next slides, where you see here we have integrations in like Google PubSub, Google BigQuery, Azure Event Hubs, AWS Kinesis S3, Keen.io, Device Pilot as SaaS offerings to analyze the service. So really valuable information that's coming into already your existing stack, so you can better understand the connectivity side. Now, this is actually what you usually would see as a basic. Yeah. So, and the title also says we provide reliable connectivity. If you have been working with an operator before, it works quite well in urban areas, but there are situations where you wish to have also another operator underground, under bridges, parking garage. You just don't get the coverage. And maybe if you're in the US, you have certain areas in the country where the one operator does not have reliable coverage, right? So we wanted to really simplify this for fleet operators and have one single SIM card that actually works with all operators in the country. So in US, we, for example, work with AT&T and T-Mobile. In Germany, we're working with all the three major operators, Deutsche Telekom, Vodafone, and O2. In 180 countries, we offer coverage, and that's where, let's say, the second piece comes into play, really operational scale. Yeah, if you have to choose a different connectivity provider in every country because of roaming costs or because of you don't get enough coverage, then this puts a brake on your scalability and your operations team, because they work with multiple operators and contracts, where if you have one SIM card for all the fleets, this makes it more easy to really ship out the device, not thinking about, do I need to ship this to Germany, then I need a Deutsche Telekom SIM card. If I ship this out to Chile, I need a Movistar one. Yeah, so with our SIM card, you are unbundling the connectivity and really the shipment side, so you don't have to worry about it. One thing which is really just interesting for fleet operators that want to go international or cross continents, you may have the feeling that we're German-based and maybe have a lot of our business and, let's say, technology in Europe. That's partly true. Yeah? So a lot of our customers coming from Europe, but actually Americas is our, I would say, 40% market. So customers that are using our products there. And the reason why we can offer this is because we are relying on AWS, on our distributed infrastructure. And just give me one idea into your head why this is relevant. If you work with a normal, if you want to build a multi-region infrastructure, yeah, if you want to use the power of the cloud to really scale international and have different infrastructure instances in Europe and in US and South America, then actually you cannot work with any operator in the world, because they always bring back all the data first to their home network. Yeah? So this is home routing of SIM cards. This is the standard model. And because we are relying on Amazon and we're taking a different approach, we actually are able to keep the data local to the region where the device is at. And this does not only have latency improvement. I had, listening to the talks, I understand that regulations, data protection, and things like this are relevant. And if you think about your data processing agreements, then you want to make sure that you have a good solution that really keeps the data local and does not impact any regulatory compliance. If you want to understand more about that technology, because it's like, I would say, a little bit more complicated, actually, we have the video that explains the difference, an explainer video on our Emnify booth, so happy to go there. And actually, this is also pretty much my last slide before we go to the Q&A. You can go to our booth there, free evaluation SIM cards that you can get and just directly try out our product. It's all self-led, and you can just test out the functionality without any commitment overall. Okay, and with that, let me stop the sharing and look at the chat if there are any questions.